of course, we had a little bit of load shedding.
Yeah.
And of course, we're hearing all of the apologies, and the fact that no stone will be left unturned to fix the problem. Where did that come from, by the way? Stones being left unturned. Remember, there was a time when politicians just used that phrase until it died. Eh? I see it's back.
Yeah.
No.
When they say they feel like they're doing something.
Yeah. No stone will be left unturned.
Trying to scare people.
Yeah. So no stone will be left unturned as the authorities try to find where the management gap is, because apparently the problem is not with the capacity issues, but rather with management and so forth and so forth. If you were listening to Dr. Khosienzo Mahoba as he was speaking and trying to explain, Ramokgopa, once.
Yeah, once. Yeah, shucks.
Yeah. Anyway, but we had the load shedding. He's visibly embarrassed by this thing. I mean, I've been looking at him at various press conferences, and he looks genuinely embarrassed by the fact that we've had this wonderful run, and over the last two weeks, we've had load shedding. And I tell you, it's one of those things that just exacerbates the general unhappiness with our government that is deepening by the minute, folks, by the minute. Yeah. I mean, last week we had President Cyril Ramaphosa telling the leadership of Gauteng and the city of Johannesburg that you guys are doing you used another word. It's that word that that is spelled the same way going forward and backwards. It's a palindrome. There's a word for palindrome or palindrome. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, I nearly used a very, very, very successful palindrome in Afrikaans for the way that the city of Johannesburg, the province of Gauteng, has been run, and the president has been quite scathing to the leadership. And apparently he's now put together some sort of a task team that's going to try and speed up the process of improving Gauteng. And one wonders whether the G20 meeting that's supposed to be held here in Johannesburg has anything to do with that. We just wonder.
Yeah.
And then Premier Panyaza Lesufi was on all fours, apologizing and saying that, no, we're going to sort this thing out. It's going to come right. I don't know how many times he said it, but it's going to, you see, this time it's going to come right.
Sure.
Yeah. You might also be picking up a little bit of sarcasm in my tone and in my voice. It's because we've seen this movie way too many times. And now there's the big conversation about the budget. And I'm told, folks, that I made a mistake, and my apologies. I said that the budget speech would be happening on the 19th. It's happening on the 12th. It's a big, big mistake. It's happening on the 12th, and it's going to be at around about 2 p.m. That's when we hope the Minister of Finance, Enoch Godongwane, will be able to table some sort of a budget. We hear that the parties within the GNU are not finding each other at this stage. There was talk about the fact that, or the possibility that Minister of Finance Enoch Godongwane went to Luthuli House today to go and sort of canvass at least one version of the budget. There's still a lot of talk about the possibility of a VAT hike. Even though it is very, very unpopular, many people are saying that's not the way to go. Cut the spending. Cut the spending with regards to the perks and the allowances of ambassadors all over the world. Cut the spending with regards to the security details of ministers and deputy ministers. In fact, cut out the deputy ministers. In fact, cut the whole thing. We have a bigger cabinet than countries that are 5-10 times our size. So lots of people saying, cut the spending. Our problem is not so much a revenue generation process. Ours is just that we spend like we're slay queens on steroids. Eh? So a lot of people saying, cut the spending. That's where we're going to get the 60 billion rand shortfall that everybody's talking about at the moment. Yeah. So very, very interesting stuff that we're talking about. And I'm really hoping that this week will bring a little more clarity as to what happens come the 12th of March when the Minister of Finance is to deliver his budget speech. But I'll open up the lines and hear what you think needs to happen. Yeah. But a lot of financial and economic experts that I've spoken to have said, Orbs, it's really not rocket science for us to get out of this problem. I mean, we already have a national debt that is playing around with the bokbarki of 3 trillion rands. You know when your children play around with your little beard? Your goatee? Yeah, now we're starting to play around with 3 trillion rands in debt that we have. 3 trillion. I don't even know what that means. Do you know what 3 trillion is?
No,
I don't know what 3 trillion is. That thing, do you know what 3 trillion is? I don't know what does that mean, 3 trillion? My mind can't get around that. We're apparently playing around in that space. Playing around. Weet man, my broer man. And then of course there is the ever louder right-wing voice in South Africa that has found its voice. Ach nee man. Ach nee man, stop it man. Hey. We got real problems that we need to sort out here, guys, man. But all of the mess that our government is involved in at the moment, just the general mess. This is the mess. You can't start anywhere. You want to go to health? There's a mess. You want to go to transport? There's a mess. You want to go to... we owe, what, we've given some French company 400 million rands, or we owe them because we gave them the tender, which has now doubled, by the way. Now, that tender is going to be 875 million rands to produce these licenses, these card licenses. Apparently that machine is messed up. So
Always.
I laugh because I'll cry. I'm telling you now, I'll start weeping here. You know I can weep, right?
Yeah.
So, I'll just laugh. The machine is... And then he spark plugs.
Yeah, I know.
It needs a new fan belt. Oh, God. It's a joke. It's terrible.
True.
It's terrible. We can't get water here in Joburg, but it rains every day.
Yeah.
No, it's not because there's no water. Apparently, since 2023, the Vaal River hasn't been full to capacity. It is now full to capacity. Was it Bavater? No, we've got water. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Problem is that we can't get the water to our businesses and our homes because they haven't been looking after the infrastructure. Do you see what emboldens the right wingers?
Yeah.
Did you see?
Sure.
It's the nonsense. Then there's this guy in America.
That one.
Brother Donald.
Aye.
I'm just looking at him now on television. He's everywhere. Here's another story. Anyway, apparently there's going to be some talks in Saudi Arabia where the US and Ukraine are going to try and resume peace talks. And somehow Russia might get involved in that conversation. I've always thought if you want to have peace in that region, you got to get everybody around the table. Let's have a conversation. But it's all very transactional. If you don't give us your minerals, if you don't give us your minerals, then we're not going to give you any protection.
Yeah.
That whole transactional thing just feels wrong for me. But hey, I'm just an oak who talks a lot at night. In this hour, Ever had that sharp ear pain or blocked ear that just won't go away? Is it an infection? And do you really need antibiotics? What about kids? Why do they get ear infections so often? On tonight's Medical Matters, we take a look at different types of ear infections, their causes, treatments, and some misconceptions about the ear. Joining me for this conversation is Dr. Matume Khanaka, who is a general practitioner. He's already on standby. In the second hour of the show, I've got two conversations in that hour. Now, a tragic incident unfolded in Soweto during a taxi blockade this morning when a JMPD vehicle collided with pedestrians, resulting in 2 fatalities and several injuries. Authorities are now investigating the circumstances surrounding the crash. JMPD spokesperson Kolani Fihla joins us to provide more details on what happened and the steps being taken in response. There's another ticking time bomb. You think the Zamazamas are a ticking time bomb? Watch the taxi industry.
Yeah.
You think the extortion mafias, the various construction mafias, you know, the 30%ers?
Sure.
No, I'm not talking about the pass mark in the country. I'm talking about the guys that demand 30% as a contribution.
For doing nothing.
Well, they'll say that it's for community involvement, empowerment in any community. Those guys. You think that they're a problem? Forget it. Watch the taxi guys. You think the guys that are involved in the ever-growing business of kidnapping in South Africa are a problem? Watch the taxi guys. Just watch those guys. Because there's a level of entitlement in that space, ne? The level of entitlement that is fervent. And those guys believe they own routes. So like if you're driving down a particular street, they actually believe they own that route.
Yeah.
If you're driving around with a couple of mates, because you've got some sort of a taxi, what again this thing, a lift club, they just stop you and gooi everybody. The buses, Rea Vaya, they're being stopped now. They kill the drivers.